Hi, welcome to episode 14 of the Corner of Knit and Tea. I'm Laura, also known as Fluffy K on Ravelry, Fluffy Kira on Twitter and Instagram. I blog over at the Corner of Knit and Tea, and that's where this episode's show notes will be with links to everything I discuss. I have an Etsy shop, The Stash Buckler, Adventures in Yarn, and we have a Ravelry group now. Hi and welcome. I am so excited to talk to you today. We are up to about 240 subscribers on YouTube, and we are up to 75 members in the Ravelry group. And I am thrilled that you're all joining me, both in my podcast and over on the Ravelry group. I am still looking forward to doing a subscriber prize when we hit 250, which will probably happen this week, so I'll probably have details of that next week. And pretty soon I think I'm going to start doing some contests on Ravelry to win prizes. So please join us in the group there if you haven't. Say hi, let us know what you're knitting or spinning or sipping, and stay tuned because there will be some prizes in there, maybe some knit-alongs, and just a way for us to talk and meet each other and interact a little bit and see what everybody else is knitting. So it is Sunday, November 8th. November 9th, actually, and we are enjoying a couple more days of temperatures in the 60s, and that it is supposed to get really cold this week. I think Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday we're supposed to have a high of between 38 and 40, and then next weekend they're talking we might even get our first snow. I am so not ready for this. I love fall, and I feel like we've had a very abbreviated fall. It stayed warm for a long time, and it's only just gotten cold, and now it's going to get really cold. It also reminds me that I don't have very much time left to craft on holiday gifts, and I feel like by the time we get into November, I have the craft show, and then we traveled to spend Thanksgiving with my family, and then a few more weeks, and then it's Christmas and New Year's, and the end of the year just always passes in a blur. And the last few, I would say last week or two, I just really feel the pressure. There's a bunch of stuff that I still need to get done knitting-wise for the holidays. I'm trying to get as much spun as I can, and I have to get all my inventory ready for the craft show, and then I'm just trying to get ready to travel, and this year we're going to have Christmas at our house, so I need to start thinking about what I'm going to cook, and after Thanksgiving we'll have to get the house decorated, and so it's just going to be kind of a whirlwind of a season, and I can't believe it's time to do this again. Every year it just seems like the year passes, the days pass slowly, but the years just pass really, really quickly. Anyway, so welcome to the show. I hope that you've got something that you want to craft right now or something you want to sip, and let's start up. Today's tea is a sample from Mighty Leaf that I got when I ordered not that long ago. It is called Orange Dulce. And it is like a lusciously rich dessert. Orange Dulce is a dark brew teeming with notes of orange, vanilla, and jasmine. It is a black tea, and it is not decaf, but this came as a free sample with something that I ordered. And today I am sipping in this fabulous ceramic mug. So this is kind of a funny story. My husband and I drove cross-country this past spring. We have a niece and a nephew in Virginia Beach. And we rented a minivan and went out there to spend their spring break with them. And I rented the minivan so we can get everyone, including Grandma and Grandpa, into the van. And on the way out, we went through West Virginia and we stopped by the Tamarack Craft Center in West Virginia, which a few people have said they knew about. I actually did not know about it, but we stopped by, and I believe we were just stopping by there just so that we could take a restroom break, get a drink, something like that. And they had all these great mugs and all these local artisans who had come together to they just had a local gift store, which featured the work of all these local artisans. And there were also different blends of tea and all kinds of stuff. And I had to wander through there while my husband was off looking at something else. And I decided that I didn't want to buy anything. So we got back in the car and we went out to Virginia Beach and we had a great time, and we turned around to come back home. And as we were driving through West Virginia, my husband gets off at the Tamarack Center, and I'm looking at him like, what, why? We just stopped an hour ago. We don't really need anything. And he's like, you need to buy that mug and tea that you were looking at. So they were my souvenirs for the trip. So this is a ceramic mug. And the designer was Lynn Pottery from Wheeling, West Virginia. And I will go ahead, I have a link to their shop, so I will go ahead and put that in the show notes. I don't know that anyone would specifically want to purchase. This was just kind of a good reminder of the trip. So again, I'm sipping Orange Dolce from Mighty Leaf in my West Virginia mug. Ooh, that is really nice. It's very mild. It's mostly black tea, but I get a little bit of the orange and a little bit of the vanilla. So, and I can smell a little bit of the jasmine, but that's really nice. A nice blend. So that is what I'm sipping today. What I'm wearing, I think I showed you this. I had a bunch of things that I knit, and I think I showed off, and then I didn't wash or block them. And I had a sweater on, but then I got warm, so I took it off, but maybe I'll show you that as well. This is the Cabin Cowl by Treasure Goddess. It's Christine Long's Dirk, and Long Dirks, and it is basically exactly what it says. It is a log cabin cowl. You knit 4 log cabin squares. She suggests, I made mine fairly monochromatic, at least in terms of I selected 5 colors that I really wanted to use, and then I used them in almost all the squares. She suggests that if you just have sock leftovers, you should just use 1 color in all of the squares so that it kind of ties them all together. Anyway, you knit your 4 log cabin squares, and then you go ahead and seam them together. Oh, I see why it's not doing what I wanted to do, because there we go. You knit your 4 log cabin squares, and then you seam them together, and I went ahead and did an I-cord bind off around the edge because I thought that would really tie it together. And these are the other squares. So I used the 5 colors. They were all Wool Mice colors, and I am just enjoying kind of throwing that on, and it's just a good cowl. I suspect I'll probably make more because it just calls for sock yarn squares, although actually I'm even sure that you could use worsted or DK weight scraps. It's a pretty simple pattern, but that is on Ravelry if you are interested. It's by Treasure Goddess. And then the other one that I pulled out, which I had finished and I had showed you, but I guess I had never actually blocked it, and I decided that it really needed a blocking this week because if it's really going to be in the 30s and 40s, I'm going to need a sweater, was the Caramel Sweater, and this is by Isabel Kramer, and I knit this in Northampton, the worsted weight, in a bunch of different colorways, and this is just a sweater. It's got huge fronts, and you can either wear it kind of drapey, or you can wear it with a pin to kind of keep it closed. And I thought this would be a really nice sweater for the winter. So now it's weird because I've got the cowl on underneath. But anyway, but those were the 2 things that I pulled out today. Like I said, I decided it was a little warm for the sweater, but I'm very excited to wear this sweater this week. So now let's move on to what I've been knitting this week. I have been working on 2 longer-term projects. I don't have any FOs to show off this week, but I think you'll recognize some of the things that I've been working on. The first one is the Groovy Shawl by Jumper Cables Knitting, and I'm knitting that in the Twisted Fiber Arts Evolution Aerial in the Velvet colorway. And as you can see, I have made a bunch of progress on this project. This was the one that it's a gradient, and it starts at this yellow and then moves into kind of a gold and then moves into a brown. And then as you can see, I have just started into a purple. And I don't have a ton of yarn left. It looks like what I have left is a purple going kind of into a pink or red, and then going into a lighter pink at the outside. And so I would estimate I have maybe a third of my yarn left, and I don't know how many more sections I'm really going to get out of this. Sorry, it's bunched up on the needle. But when I block it out, this is a very simple knit. It is sections of stockinette and then sections of reverse stockinette, and the gradient just really gets to show through with these. And can't super stretch it out. I haven't decided yet if it's going to be as big as I wanted it to be. I mean, I think it will be fine across. I don't know how well it will stretch kind of this direction, but we'll have to see when I block it. I am a little disappointed that I chose to do the yellow at the top end. As I explained with the gradient, I had to choose a color to start with and a color to finish with. And when you start something that's knit on the bias, because the rows are very short at the beginning, you're going to have a wider stripe of color. Because you're going to have more area to use up that repeat. And as the rows get wider and wider and wider, you're going to have shorter and shorter and shorter sections of color. And I think I might have preferred actually to have the purples and the pinks as the big section, and then the yellow is just a little bit at the end. But I guess we'll just have to see how it turns out. I did give this some thought, and I still think I may have picked wrong. And then the only other thing that I'm concerned about is I wanted this to be a really big kind of wraparound shawl, and I don't know how big it's going to be when I finish. So we'll have to see. I mean, I'm loving knitting it. I'm loving the way this is knitting up. It's super fun because each section is kind of a new color. And you know, as things start to change, like I was very excited the other night, the brown is turning into purple. The brown is turning into purple, because that last section there, as you can see, has a lot. Well, there's the section of purple, but then there's the section right before that that has a lot of purple streaks in the brown. And that was, so this one is a fun one to knit in terms of, oh, I'll just do one more row. Oh, I'll just do a couple more rows. Oh, I'll just do a little bit and see what color is coming next. So I will be working on this week. I don't know if I'll finish it this week. My goal is to finish it by the end of the month. And we'll kind of see how that goes, but I should be able to do it even if I take it in the car with me when we go traveling for the holidays. But again, that is Groovy by Jumper Cables Knitting in a Twisted Fiber Arts Evolution on the Aerial Base Colorway Velvet. So the second big project that I am working on, as I discussed last week and actually the week before that, is that I am working on National Knit a Sweater Month. And for that, I am knitting Porphura, which is a pattern by Amy Miller. I've showed that the last couple times. It is a top-down raglan sweater. The fronts are not super wide. It's got a real wide kind of button band collar in ribbing that goes all the way around, and long sleeves. So I have been putting in quite a bit of work on that this week. And National Knit a Sweater Month asks you to knit a sweater that has 50,000 stitches. So most adult sweaters will fit that. I will certainly be in that range. However, I do not calculate exactly how many stitches are going to be in my sweater beforehand. Usually I just sort of calculate it as I knit, like how many rows I knitted, how many stitches, and keep a running total. So I actually got in about 20,000 stitches this week, which theoretically gets me 2/5 of the way to my goal. However, I don't know if that actually will be 2/5 of the sweater or not. I am positive that I will hit 50,000 stitches. I just may go way more than that. So I don't really have a good way to gauge exactly where I am. I am knitting this in Miss Babs Yowza, which is her worsted weight. The skeins are large skeins. They're 560 yards per skein. Yeah, I think 560 yards per skein. I have 3 of them for the sweater. I'm alternating 2 of them for the body. And this is what I managed to complete this week. I started at the top, and it's got a raglan shaping for the sleeves, as you can see. And then I set aside the sleeves on waste yarn. Both sleeves are on waste yarn, so I can pick up and knit the sleeves later. And now I am just knitting the body, and it's a pretty straight knit. They have a few increases down the side because the sweater is a little bit A-line, and I hope I'm not giving away too much detail. It is a paid-for pattern. Anyway, so I am a good chunk of the way down the body. I am probably going to make it, the sweater is called, I think, to hit like below the hip. It's kind of a little bit of a jacket length sweater, and I am definitely going to knit it that long because I want it to be kind of warm and cozy and a cardigan to put over everything. So, and let me see if I can get you a little bit of, that's a pretty good representation of the color. It's kind of a dark purple. It seems to me like either a red or a purple that's been overdyed with black, and then there are these really nice little pops of the lighter purple through various parts, and it just, to me, when you get indie dyed yarn that I would consider this a semi-solid that has a little bit of variation in it, to me that just really creates some texture in the fabric, and it's interesting and pleasing to the eye. It doesn't look as flat as some of the other yarns do. For instance, some of the commercial yarns that are basically all one solid color. Anyway, I really like the variation in this. So as you can see, the fronts are not super wide. They're curling like crazy right now because they don't have anything on them, but they're not super wide. And then there'll be a super wide, I think it's 5 inches, collar / button band. The goal this week is to finish the body and maybe start on the sleeves. I'm going to do the collar last. So hopefully I should finish the body, and I'll probably be partway into one or maybe the second sleeve by the next time we talk. But this is, like I said, just over 20,000 stitches, and it was about a week's worth of work. So that gives you a little bit of an idea where I'm at with this one. So, and I hope that you have checked out the Nanny Swaymo group on Ravelry. We've got a bunch of people knitting a lot of really lovely sweaters. One of the interesting things about Nanny Swaymo is that I always find a million more sweaters that I want to knit. So my queue kind of explodes drastically. And I start thinking about what other sweaters I might want to knit this winter, and what if I find any for spring, and sort of what goes on my queue for the ages. And it's also interesting because a lot of times I will see a pattern and I don't really care for the sweater based on the way it's either styled or knit or whatever the pictures are associated with the pattern. But quite often when I see somebody actually knit the sweater up, all of a sudden I kind of think, oh wait, that was a really interesting pattern, and I really like the way that looks on a person. So definitely take advantage of Ravelry when you're looking for projects. See who else has made it, see what it looks like on a variety of body types. Don't just look at the pattern picture, because that may or may not be accurate to what it looks like, and you may find sometimes that when you see somebody knit a garment that you would be more interested in knitting it. So that is what's on my needles. Like I said, unfortunately, I don't have a ton of excitement and no finished objects. I do have some things that I would like to get done this month. I have a few small Christmas presents, and my sister is using the hats with Roxy, who is tolerating them for now, but requested that maybe I could make some mittens for her. So I want to do a few of those. I still have some yarn left over from the hats that I made, and thought I could make some mittens attached to an I-cord that would go through the sleeves of her coat, so that if she pulls them off, they won't actually disappear, they'll just dangle. So, and those should not take me very long to knit. I would like to get those done actually before Thanksgiving so that I can give them to my sister when I see her at Thanksgiving. So I definitely have a few small projects that I want to kind of crank out this month, but I am still busy with those 2 projects, and then I'm also busy getting everything ready for the craft fair. I think I decided that this week is the last week I'm going to spin for the craft fair, and then next weekend I'm going to spend getting all my inventory together, tagging everything, and getting ready. For anyone who is local or semi-local, the craft fair is in the Old Shawnee Town Hall on Johnson Drive. It is in Kansas City. I believe it's in Shawnee Mission, Kansas. But that's the Kansas City general area, and the craft show is November 21st, which is a Friday, from 4 to 9, and then November 22nd, Saturday, from 10 to 5. So if any of you are around and want to go shopping there, they will have all kinds of different things. They have fiber, they have yarn, they have hand spun, they have all kinds of weaving, placemats, wall hangings, ponchos, garments that are woven, there's jewelry, there's soap, there's pottery, there's all kinds of fun toys and home decor, ornaments, and a huge wall of scarves, woven scarves, knit scarves, cowls. So there's really a lot of things to choose from, and it is a great shopping opportunity if you are looking for something handmade to give someone special in your life for the holidays. So if you are local, please come and join us. It's sponsored by the Kansas City Fiber and Weaving Guilds, and this is, I believe they said, the 32nd year that the show has been put on, and it basically, all of the proceeds go to support the artisans in the show. So that's what I'll be doing, and unfortunately, just as a note to that, is that I'll be taking my shop down for a few days around the craft festival and probably during the week of Thanksgiving because I won't be home to ship. So if there's something in my shop that you're interested in, please do snap it up soon. So because the shop will be closed for about a week towards the end of the month while I do the craft show and travel. So let's segue that right into spinning. I finished the spin that I was doing last week. That was Western Sky Knits in an organic Polworth, which after I washed just poofed up in all kinds of bright colorways. The colorway was called Tinkerbell, and it's got pinks and reds and browns and purples and oranges and bright blue. And this is just a really fun skein. It reminds me of candy. Almost, just all different kinds of colored candy, jelly beans maybe, and I got, I haven't done the calculations yet, I want to say I got probably high 200s to 75 to 80 yards of squishy sport weight, and it is just super puffy and squishy and soft. Polworth is a kind of merino. Unfortunately, this is not super wash. However, I think it would make some great accessories, and it is super next to the skin soft. So if you are interested, this will be going in my shop probably this evening before the podcast hits. So by the time you see this, it will be in the shop, and if you're interested, it will be there for you. So that is what I finished this week. I pulled something else out to spin. I was trying to think what I wanted my last spin to be. And I have these beautiful bats that I bought from Dripping Fiber Studios. I have spun their fiber before, but I will show you these. These are merino, superwash merino, silk and sparkle, and BFL. It's 4.3 ounces, and this was a custom order. She did a set of bats. She did several bats named after Arya from Game of Thrones, and I really liked them, and so she actually recreated them for me. She called these Fluffmeister, probably after me, but that is Dripping Fiber Studios. And I just thought I'd talk for a minute. Most of what I have shown you is referred to as combed top. That's the stuff that I've showed you in the braids, all braided up. And combed top, the defining characteristic of combed top is that all of the fibers lay in parallel to each other. And most of the air is removed between them. So when you're getting a braid, you're getting a dense section of fiber where all the fibers lay in the same direction. And that enables you to spin certain styles based on the fiber prep. Bats, on the other hand, are made on a drum carder, and they are made by laying fiber on the carder and running them through. And what you end up with is, now she sent them to me all wound up in these little fun kind of fluff balls. But when you open them up, what they really are they are more like a blanket of fiber with different layers. You can see that this bat is in layers. So it's got some brown, and then in the middle, it's got kind of a chunk of pink here. And then it's also got purple and some blue, and you can maybe see that there's some sparkle running through there. Not a lot, but just a little bit. I don't know that you can see the sparkle, actually. Oh, yeah, you can see it on the brown side. You can see just a little bit of sparkle put in there. And there are a lot of ways that you can spin this. This the fiber is a little bit more willy-nilly. The fibers are generally in the same direction, but they are not prepped kind of as solidly in parallel to each other. So the spinning of bats I usually find is not quite as smooth. It's a little bit more woolen, a little bit more airy and light than spinning with just some regular top. And the interesting thing is that I actually am not a huge bat spinner. I find that I love the way bats look. I love all these layers of fiber. I find them a little difficult to spin. The way you can spin a bat is you can just pick a point, a corner, and you can just start pulling and kind of spin from the full length of fiber. You can kind of do what's called Z, which is where you go across and then you go back. You go across this way and then you go across this way, and you just kind of go back and forth across the bat all the way down. Or you can tear the bat into strips and spin from that, which is probably what I'll end up doing. I was trying to decide whether I wanted to try and separate kind of by color so that I could do a gradient or not. I have multiples of these. I believe I have 2. I thought maybe there were 3, but I will have to double check. It's about 4 ounces. The tag says 4.3 ounces of fiber. So it's a goodly amount of fiber, and it will give me a full skein. But I decided that maybe I would try this for my sort of final spin of the season that could go to the craft show. So that is what I am doing. Again, these little puff balls of fiber. This is Kim from Dripping Fiber Studios. This is what I plan to spin this week, and hopefully I will be able to bring it back and show you finished next week. If not, I will certainly have a bobbin, but I have a couple of those to spin this week. So I think that's all I have for you this week. I know it's kind of a short week and I haven't done as much, so I feel like there just isn't as much to talk about. I hope you have had a wonderful week, and thank you for spending this time with me. I will definitely do a few other features in the podcast coming up. I thought about discussing some of the podcasts that I watch and some of the great things there are out there if you're looking for techniques or just other people talking about what it is that they're crafting. And I know somebody has asked that I do a demo on my spinning wheel, and I think I will be doing that shortly. I need to film that a little bit separately because that I'll have to set up the camera a little bit differently. So, but I wanted to do that and show you my spinning wheel and how I spin and possibly even how I ply. I also will be doing a little bit of traveling in the next few weeks, well, the end of the month. I'll be going to see my family in California, and we're leaving on a Saturday afternoon and then returning the following weekend. So I don't exactly know how I'm going to podcast in there since I won't have my regular time. My suspicion is that I will film parts of the podcast as I go across the country. And actually, I'm going to be stopping in Tempe and meeting some friends who you may know from their Come Knit With Us podcast. I actually will be going to meet Sam and Kim. Very excited about that. I'm going to go to Tempe, Yarn and Fiber, and Math and Science and Arts, and I can't remember what else. And I'll also be meeting Liz, who has made a couple guest appearances on there, I believe. I'm not sure. She has also done a couple videos of her own. But I'm hoping maybe I'll be able to talk them into sitting on camera with me for a few minutes. I'm going to bring my laptop and camera with, and I'm hoping that maybe I'll be able to talk them into doing a short segment, which I can then put in the podcast. We're also going to do some sightseeing, so I was thinking I would just take the camera and computer with me and see what I can get, and then maybe edit them together and upload kind of the middle of Thanksgiving week to give you something to watch through the holidays. And then once we get home, I will return to sort of a regular schedule. So I suspect it's going to be a little spotty, not next weekend, but after that a little bit. But I will be around. As always, you can contact me on Ravelry or at my email, or leave me a comment on YouTube. I will definitely be connected to the internet while I'm gone, so I can respond to anything that needs responding to. So thank you very much. I hope you have a wonderful week. Happy knitting, happy spinning, happy sipping, and I'll see you next weekend. Bye.